Hello students, in this video lecture let me explain you the process of translation. As we have already studied, translation is an important step in the process of expression of genes. Translation is nothing but the synthesis of polypeptide molecules in the cells. Now, for the academic purpose, it can be defined as the synthesis of a polypeptide molecule by the arrangement of amino acids in the same sequence of codons of a messenger RNA molecule. This process is called translation because it involves changing the nucleotide language of nucleic acids, that is, in the DNA and RNA molecule, into the amino acid language of proteins. It is a process in which the genetic information encoded in messenger RNA is translated into a sequence of amino acids of a polypeptide chain. And please remember, these protein molecules then carry out all the physiological and other functions of a cell. Therefore, the genes express by forming proteins. In this presentation, I am going to explain the process of translation as it occurs in a prokaryotic cell. I am stressing on this point because there are certain differences between translation in a prokaryotic system and a eukaryotic system. But my explanation will be mainly as it occurs in a prokaryotic cell because it is the most studied process of translation. Now let's understand, where does translation take place? In prokaryotes, as you have studied, there is no separation between the nucleus and the cytoplasm. Therefore, translation occurs immediately after transcription. Please remember, transcription is the process of synthesis of a messenger RNA molecule by a DNA molecule. So as soon as transcription occurs, translation can begin. Again, please remember, I am speaking with reference to a prokaryotic cell. But in eukaryotic systems or eukaryotic cells, there is a spatial and temporal separation of the two important processes of protein synthesis, that is transcription and translation. Transcription occurs in the nucleus, whereas translation takes place in the cytoplasm. This implies the messenger RNA, which is produced in the nucleus, needs to be transported from the nucleus to the cytoplasm through the nuclear membrane. In addition to this transportation, the eukaryotic messenger RNA cannot directly take part in translation because it has to be modified by a process called RNA processing or splicing before it can take part in translation. Now, to just give a hint, splicing is nothing but removal of the intervening sequences of the RNA, that is called introns, and joining together of only the coding sequences, which are called as exons. So only after processing and transportation, the eukaryotic messenger RNAs can take part in translation. Now this picture illustrates the difference between prokaryotic and eukaryotic translation. So here you can make out this is a prokaryotic cell. So there is no differentiation into nucleus and cytoplasm. So this is the DNA. It is undergoing transcription and forming a mRNA molecule, and simultaneously the mRNA is translated into a protein molecule. Whereas this is a eukaryotic system, here you can see transcription is taking place inside the nucleus, whereas translation is taking place in the cytoplasm. So the RNA which is produced undergoes a processing step, and this processed RNA is then transported into the cytoplasm through the nuclear membrane, and only this transported and processed messenger RNA then take part in the process of translation. Now the next important thing is to understand what are the requirements for translation. Translation is a very complex process which involves the participation of several molecules. The most important ones are an mRNA molecule which has the genetic message for the order of amino acids of the protein to be synthesized. Now it also brings the ribosomal subunits together. This part I will be explaining you later. Ribosomal subunits on which protein synthesis takes place. So we say the ribosomes are the protein factories of the cell because it provides the space for the synthesis of a polypeptide chain or for translation. And the building blocks of polypeptide or protein, which are the amino acids, and you know there are 20 different types of amino acids, and they can be arranged in the sequence decided by the codons of the messenger RNA molecule. Then of course the molecules which transport the amino acids from cytoplasm into the location of translation, and these RNA molecules are called transfer RNA molecules. So they transport specific protein forming amino acids to the site of protein synthesis. And certain enzymes are needed for translation. Mainly 3 enzymes are essential. One is the amino acyl tRNA synthetase. Now this enzyme catalyzes the attachment of amino acids to its corresponding transfer RNA molecule. So before taking part in translation, the amino acids have to be loaded onto their tRNA molecules, or they have to be attached to the tRNA molecules. Now this attachment step is catalyzed by the enzyme amino acyl tRNA synthetase. The next important enzyme required is peptidyl transferase. Now this is the most important enzyme because this is the one which catalyzes the formation of peptide bonds between amino acids. Please remember, a polypeptide is nothing but many amino acids interconnected by peptide bonds. So this peptide bond formation is catalyzed by peptidyl transferase enzyme. And the last enzyme required is called tRNA deacylase, which breaks the bond between transfer RNA and their respective amino acids after the peptide bond formation. Of course, the role of each of these enzymes and their significance you can understand when we go into the actual process of translation. The next important requirement for translation is called initiation factors. As the name itself indicates, these are the protein factors which are required for the initiation of the process of translation. And in prokaryotic systems, there are 3 such initiation factors which are designated IF1, IF2 and IF3. Similarly, there are molecules called elongation factors which are required for the growth or elongation of the polypeptide chain. 3 such elongation factors are required. They are called as EFTU, that is elongation factor TU, elongation factor TS and elongation factor G. And there are release factors, or these are also called the termination factors, and they play a very important role in terminating or stopping the process of translation. In prokaryotes, again there are 3 such termination factors which are called RF1, RF2 and RF3. Finally, all steps of translation requires the supply of energy, so they need energy sources. Now 2 such important energy sources of biological systems are ATP and GTP molecules. So they provide the energy required for different steps of translation. So these are the most important items required for translation. Now, ATP is used for charging of transfer RNAs, that is binding of amino acids to their transfer RNA molecules, whereas GTP is used for the movement of ribosomes along the messenger RNA. Now, this part we can understand later. As translation proceeds, the ribosome moves on the messenger RNA molecule from 5' end to 3' end. For this movement, the energy is provided by GTP molecule. Now, as I have told earlier, ribosomes play a very important role in translation because they are the work benches for translation. Now, a bit of background information about ribosomes are essential here. A prokaryotic ribosome, like eukaryotic ribosomes, is made up of two subunits or halves, a larger subunit and a smaller subunit. Now, the size of these subunits are designated by a constant called S, which stands for Swedberg's constant. The larger subunit is 50S and a smaller subunit is 30S. Now, during translation, these ribosomal subunits, which stay separate, assemble together like a sandwich on the strand of RNA and give rise to a functional ribosome. So what I mean to say is, when not taking part in translation, the ribosomal subunits occur separately as free subunits. Only during translation they join together to produce a functional ribosome. The smaller subunit actually binds to the messenger RNA molecule, and the larger subunit of ribosome, that is 50S in case of prokaryotic ribosome, has three specific areas on its surface which are called binding sites. Now, these binding sites are for actually the binding of transfer RNA molecule, and it also catalyzes the formation of peptide bonds between two amino acids. Now, here you can make out how the larger subunit of ribosome and the smaller subunit, which occur as two free subunits, join together to form a functional ribosome during translation. Now, this is the functional ribosome formed. Here you can make out the smaller subunit and this is the larger subunit. And please see here, the larger subunit has got three specific locations which are called as binding sites, and these are named E site, P site and A site. Now, E stands for exit site, P stands for peptidyl site and A stands for amino acyl tRNA binding site. Now, the significance of each of these sites will be understood once we actually start understanding the process of translation. But at this moment, please understand that there are three separate areas on site, P site and A site, each having a very specific role to perform during translation. So the next important thing is the role played by transfer RNA molecules in translation. As I have already explained, tRNA molecules help in the process of transportation of amino acids required for polypeptide formation. And please try to recollect the three-dimensional structure of a tRNA molecule, which is called the cloverleaf model. So here you can make out the cloverleaf model. Of course, I will not go into the details of this structure, but I just stress upon two important parts of this tRNA. On the 3' end, you can have a region which is called the amino acid binding site. So this is the point at which the amino acids attach to the tRNA molecule, that is at the 3 terminal end. Now, On the opposite end, there is an anticodon loop. Now this is called as anticodon loop, and the three specific nitrogen bases of this anticodon loop, they are called as anticodons. And these anticodons play a very important role in deciding the type of amino acids which attach at the 3' terminal end, and the anticodon also helps in binding of the tRNA to the mRNA molecule. So that is by the hydrogen bond formation between the anticodon and the codons of the mRNA. Again, this part you will understand once I take up the explanation of the actual process of translation. So please appreciate the role played by tRNA molecules in the process of translation. Now let us get into the actual process of translation. Now, for the sake of our understanding, translation can be studied in 4 sequential steps. The first step is called activation of amino acids, which is followed by initiation of polypeptide synthesis. Then comes the elongation of polypeptide, and finally the termination of polypeptide synthesis. So you can easily remember them: activation of amino acids, initiation, elongation, and termination. Now let us study each of these steps in detail. Now first, let us begin with the activation of amino acids. To put it in very simple words, now this is the step in which the amino acids which are free in the cytoplasm get attached to their respective transfer RNA molecules, and this combination of amino acids and tRNA results in the formation of what are called charged transfer RNAs or amino acyl tRNA complexes. So I repeat, in this step, each amino acid binds to the 3 terminal end of its respective transfer RNA molecules to form what is called as a charged transfer RNA or a tRNA amino acyl complex. Now, the enzyme required for this step is amino acyl tRNA synthetase, and it requires ATP to provide the necessary energy. The activation of amino acid takes place in 2 steps. In the first step, amino acid combines with ATP molecule in the presence of the enzyme amino acyl tRNA synthetase to form a amino acid adenosine monophosphate, that is the AMP complex. Now, during this AMP formation, inorganic phosphate molecules are cleaved from the ATP. So ATP loses 2 inorganic phosphates to become AMP. This AMP combines with amino acid to form amino acid AMP complex. Now in the second step, the product of the first step, that is amino acid AMP complex, combines with its respective RNA molecule to form the amino acyl tRNA complex. Here you can make out the amino acid is attached to the 3 terminal end of the tRNA molecule. Now this complex structure wherein the amino acid is attached to its respective tRNA molecule is called a charged transfer RNA, or it is also called amino acyl tRNA complex. Now here you can make out the structure of a charged tRNA. So this is the 3' end of the transfer RNA into which a amino acid, here it is methionine, is attached. Now this binding of amino acid is decided by actually the anticodon. Now for example, methionine is coded by the codon AUG. Please note this, AUG is the codon. Codon is the combination of 3 nitrogen bases on the messenger RNA molecule which codes for one amino acid. This is a part of the genetic code. So AUG codes for methionine. The tRNA which transports methionine should have UAC as its anticodon. So please see here, the codon and the anticodon should be complementary. I repeat, the tRNA carrying methionine should have complementary bases of methionine codon as its anticodon. So which amino acid binds to which tRNA is actually decided by the anticodon of the tRNA. Please try to understand this point. Now the second step in translation is called initiation of polypeptide synthesis. As the name itself indicates, this is the actual beginning of the process of a polypeptide synthesis. Now the earlier step, that is activation, is only a preparatory step for the translation to begin. Now in this initiation, the three most basic requirements for translation, that is the mRNA molecule, the ribosomal subunits, and the first amino acyl tRNA complex, that is the transfer RNA which carries the first amino acid of the polypeptide to be formed, combine together to form a structure which is called initiation complex. Now in the formation of this initiation complex, GTP and three initiation factors called IF1, IF2 and IF3 are involved. Now please note here, to understand this step you should know the structure of a messenger RNA molecule. Now the messenger RNA molecule in its starting point, that is 5 terminal end, has got a small sequence which is called a leader sequence. Now this leader sequence actually does not code for any amino acids, nor it does not have any codons. Instead, it is something like a handle which helps in the attachment of the ribosomal subunit to the messenger RNA. So leader sequence is the binding site for ribosomal subunits during translation. Now after this leading sequence lies the actual coding sequence which carries the codons coding for the amino acids to be added during translation. Now the coding sequence starts from the first codon which is called as the initiation codon, and usually, generally, AUG is the initiation codon, and when present in the beginning of a mRNA as the initiation codon, AUG codes for formyl methionine, that is a methionine which is formylated. Now at the end of the coding sequence, the mRNA can have any three of the codons UAA, UAG and UGA. Now these three codons are called non-sense codons, meaning they do not code for any amino acid. Instead, they bring about the termination of polypeptide synthesis. Now, therefore, they are also called the termination codons. Now, these points are basically essential to understand the process of initiation, elongation and termination. Now let's go into the details of the first step, that is initiation. As I said, the messenger RNA binds to the small subunit of the ribosome at its leader sequence. So you can see here, this is the messenger RNA molecule which is being translated. Now this is a 5' end and this is a 3 terminal end. Now in the beginning of the 5 terminal end, now this part, this is the non-coding sequence, or which is called the leader sequence, which helps in the attachment of the ribosomal subunit to the mRNA. Next, the small subunit of the ribosome moves along the messenger RNA molecule in 5 prime 3 prime direction until it reaches a start codon. So the small subunit attaches here and it starts moving from 5 prime to the other end, that is the 3 prime end, till it encounters the first codon, that is the AUG, that is the initiation codon. Now when it reaches the initiation codon, a molecule of transfer RNA with its amino acid. Now in this case, now this transfer RNA carries formyl methionine. Now this transfer RNA has UAC at its anticodon because AUG is the codon. So this transfer RNA comes in here and attaches itself to the mRNA by hydrogen bond formation between the anticodon of the tRNA, that is UAC, and the codon, that is the AUG. And in the final step of initiation, the larger subunit of the ribosome binds to the smaller subunit, forming the complete functional ribosome. Now, at this point, the first tRNA amino acyl complex, which is attached to the initiation codon, is actually occupying the peptidyl site of the larger subunit. Please remember this. The first tRNA amino acid complex is actually occupying the P site of the larger subunit. Now this structure, the complex structure formed by the combination of messenger RNA, the two ribosomal subunits, and the transfer RNA with its amino acid, that the first transfer RNA with its amino acid, is called a initiation complex. Now here, please note, the first amino acid is in place on the ribosome, that is, the first amino acid has come and it's occupying its place on the ribosome. So the formation of a polypeptide has begun. Therefore, this is called as initiation of the polypeptide chain formation. So please understand the formation of a initiation complex by the combination of mRNA, two subunits of ribosome, and the first tRNA amino acid complex is the beginning of translation. As I said, initiation factors, that is IF1, IF2 and IF3, and GTP are involved in this process of initiation. Now we will move on to the next step, that is elongation of the polypeptide chain. Now during elongation, the ribosome, which is already attached to the initiation codon of the messenger RNA, moves in 5 prime 3 prime direction, and this movement of ribosome on the messenger RNA is actually called translocation. Now during translocation, it moves one codon at a time. Please remember this. It jumps one codon at a time towards the 3-terminal end. Now as the ribosome moves, amino acids are linked to the first amino acid, that is the formyl methionine, by peptide bonds. Now these amino acids are added one by one according to the sequence of codons in the mRNA. What I mean to say is, the second amino acid is decided by the second codon after the initiation codon. Now the third amino acid which comes in is decided by the third codon of the mRNA, and so on. So the sequence of amino acids which are coming into the ribosome is decided by the sequence of codons of the messenger RNA. Now this way, a polypeptide molecule grows in length, or it goes on elongating. Now the amino acids are interconnected by peptide bonds, and this is by the enzyme which is called peptidyl transferase, which forms the peptide bond between two adjacent amino acids. Now the elongation actually requires three elongation factors which are called EFTU, EFTS and EFG. And please remember, the ribosome moves along 5' to 3' direction on the messenger RNA molecule, and the elongation of polypeptide occurs from the amino end, that is NH2 end, to the carboxy end, that is COOH end of the protein. So the elongation of polypeptide always from NH2 end to COOH end. Please remember this point. Now, to tell you the details of elongation, you can follow in this diagram. Now this is the end of the initiation complex formation. You can see the first tRNA amino acid complex in P site. The A site is free. Now the beginning of elongation, the second transfer RNA carrying the amino acid, which is complementary to the second codon here, comes and binds to the second codon opposite the A site. Remember, the second incoming transfer RNA binds to the second codon and it is occupying the A site now. The amino acid carried by the tRNA in the P site, that is the first amino acid, is transferred to the amino acid in the A site as a consequence of the ribosome catalyzing a new peptide bond. Now the polypeptide increases in length. What I mean to say is, now this amino acid, the first amino acid, now binds to the second amino acid by a peptide bond formation. Now you can follow this in the next diagram here. Now the first tRNA has lost its amino acid, which is now attached to the second amino acid, which is in the A site, by the formation of a peptide bond. So we started with a single amino acid. Now there are two amino acids interconnected by a peptide bond. So the number of amino acids has increased to 2, or we can say the polypeptide chain has started elongating. Now in the next step, the ribosome jumps one codon forward. As a consequence, the first transfer RNA, which is occupying the P site, now comes to the E site. Now the second transfer RNA, which was against the A site, is now occupying the P site, and the third codon, which was outside the ribosome, will now come into the A site. And as soon as the tRNA, first tRNA comes into the E site, it gets detached from the ribosome and it is released. Now, since this site helps in the release of the transfer RNA, it is called as exit site. That means it marks the exit of a transfer RNA molecule after transferring its amino acid to the new polypeptide chain. So I repeat, the ribosome moves one codon along the messenger RNA in 5', 3' direction. The transfer RNA in the P site is moved into the E site and then it is released. So you can see here, this tRNA, which has now come to the E site, has been released. The transfer RNA in the A site is moved into the P site. Now this transfer RNA, which was in the A site, has now come to the P site, and the A site is vacant now. Now a third transfer RNA, which carries the third amino acid, comes and occupies the A site by hydrogen bond forming to the third codon. Again, a peptide bond formation between the second amino acid and the third amino acid. Second amino acid is released, ribosome jumps one step forward. Now these steps are repeated one after another, and as the ribosome jumps one step forward in the codon, new amino acid comes in, gets attached to the polypeptide, and by this process the polypeptide grows in length. Therefore, this is called elongation of the polypeptide chain. Now the last step is termination of polypeptide synthesis. Termination is nothing but the stopping of the process of translation. Now this takes place, that is, the translation terminates or stops when the translocating ribosome, that is the ribosome which is moving on the messenger RNA molecule, reaches any of the three termination codons, that is UAA, UAG or UGA. Now what happens when a termination codon is reached by the ribosome? Please remember here, termination codons do not code for any amino acids. Therefore, no new amino acid carrying transfer RNA can come and bind to the ribosome. Instead, there are protein factors which are called release factors or termination factors. There are three such release factors, as I have already told you: RF1, RF2 and RF3. So any of these three release factors can come and bind to the termination codon in the A site. And as soon as the release factor binds to the termination codon, the ribosomal subunits, messenger RNA and the transfer RNA molecules detach from each other, and this results in the termination or stopping of the process of translation, and the newly formed polypeptide chain is also released from the complex. Now this is how termination takes place. Here you can make out the translocating ribosome, which has started from 5 terminal end, has now reached a termination codon, that is UGA in this case. Now UGA is lying against the A site. So ribosome reaches a termination codon on the messenger RNA molecule. So what happens is, a release factor attaches to the A site, and as soon as the release factor attaches to the A site, now this entire translation machinery comprising of the larger subunit of ribosome, the smaller subunit of ribosome, the messenger RNA detach from each other and they become free, and the newly formed polypeptide is also released. Now these ribosomal subunits which are now detached can be reused, can be recycled for another round of translation of another molecule of RNA. Now this is how the translation is terminated. Now during initiation, we started with ribosomal subunits, mRNA, tRNA and free amino acids, whereas now we have a new protein molecule or a polypeptide molecule which is being synthesized, and this has amino acids arranged in the sequence decided by the sequence of codons of the messenger RNA molecule. Please try to understand this point. Now, please also know that translation is a continuous process in prokaryotes, and this results in the formation of a structure called polysome. Now, let us try to understand what is a polysome. A polysome is a structure that consists of multiple ribosomes attached to a single messenger RNA molecule. Now these multiple ribosomes, they start translating a polypeptide at different points of the messenger RNA molecule. What I mean to say is, many ribosomes attach to the messenger RNA molecule one after another, and many polypeptide molecules are simultaneously synthesized. Now this enables the cell to synthesize many molecules of the required polypeptide in a very short period of time. Now this structure, so you can make out here, this is the messenger RNA molecule. Now several ribosomes are simultaneously translating this messenger RNA molecule, or they are forming the polypeptide one after another. Now this is the first ribosome which is attached. It has moved almost closer to the termination codon. This is the second ribosome. This is the third ribosome. This is the fourth one. This is the fifth one, which has just begun the process of translation. So several ribosomes are translating a single messenger RNA molecule one after another, and simultaneously this results in the formation of several polypeptide molecules. Now this structure, which consists of a single mRNA molecule with many ribosomes attached to that, is called as a polysome. Now this is the electron microscopic view of a polysome. You can see a string of RNA here to which many ribosomes are attached. Now formation of polysome, as I said, helps in the synthesis of several copies of a polypeptide molecule in a very short period of time. Now let us try to understand the key components or principles of translation which is responsible for the synthesis of a polypeptide molecule by the transfer of the genetic code. Now, the first important aspect is that the messenger RNA molecule has a sequence of codons that specifies the amino acid sequence of the polypeptide. So please understand, the first guiding principle of translation is that the mRNA molecule has got a sequence of codons. A codon is a cluster of 3 nitrogen bases. So there is a sequence of codons. Now this sequence of codons decides the sequence of amino acids of the polypeptide synthesized. So this is the first guiding principle of translation. Now the second important principle is that there are transfer RNA molecules which carry the amino acids corresponding to the codons of mRNA. Now the amino acids according to the codons are transported by their respective transfer RNA molecules. Now, how does the transfer RNA molecule carry the specific amino acid? That is again based on the codon-anticodon relationship. The tRNA has got a anticodon which is complementary to the codon, and it binds to the codon by hydrogen bond formation during translation. Now, the fourth important aspect is about the role of ribosomes played in translation. As I said, ribosomes are the workbenches of translation. Now they move on the mRNA, adding amino acids one by one corresponding to the codons. They also act as the binding site for messenger RNA and transfer RNA, and they also catalyze the formation of peptide bonds during the formation of polypeptide. And the last important point to be remembered is that there are specific codons which are called initiation codon and termination codons. The initiation codon begins the process of translation, and the termination codons, which are 3 in number, they terminate the process of translation. That's all about translation. Thank you for watching JB's Bio class.